How do we put on the armor of God? In Ephesians chapter 6, Paul writes this. He says, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, and having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints." So here we are against cosmic powers, against the evil in this age. And Paul says, put on the armor of God. And it sounds good. And maybe we wake up in the morning and we kind of fasten our belt of truth. And some people even go through this ritual. You wake up and it's like, man, belt of truth, you got your helmet of salvation, and I'm going to put on righteousness so that I can withstand the fiery darts, right? But what does that mean? What does it mean to put on a belt of truth? I mean, obviously we're talking about something very spiritual here. It's not a literal belt, it's a very spiritual belt. Paul's using this sort of allegory to explain something to us here. But what does it mean? What does it mean to put on the breastplate of righteousness? What are these pieces of armor? I want to point a few things out. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." You see, Jesus is our truth. In 1 Corinthians 1:30, it tells us, "Christ became to us righteousness, so that the one who boasts only in him." Jesus is our righteousness. Romans 5:1 says, "Since we've been justified by faith, we have peace with God through Jesus." See, Jesus is your peace. What is the shield of faith? Let's frame this question a little bit. Do you feel more confident holding up a shield based on your ability to muster up faith? Or do you feel more confident standing behind the shield of the faith of Jesus Christ? See, Jesus is faithful. You're saved by grace. Jesus is your salvation. How about the Word of God? We have a little problem when it comes to our interpretation. When we say, I'm gonna take my sword, my word of God, my sword of the Spirit. Problem we run into is the Bible as we know it, it didn't exist when Paul wrote this letter. This was literally a letter that Paul wrote to a church. They didn't have this collection of letters that we have now. And it was a Gentile church. They probably didn't even study the Torah that much. What did they have? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Jesus Christ is the Word of God. He is God manifest in the flesh. He is God with us. You see, Jesus is the Word of God. Do you see there's a bit of a theme. I'm really trying to get to a point here. It's Jesus. Jesus is the armor of God. See, let's go back to the intro when Paul first starts talking about this. He says, finally be strong in the Lord and in the strength of your might? No. Be strong in the strength of his might. You see, it's his might, it's his power, it's his ability that protects us, that guards us, that we put on. Put on the armor that is your God. Armor. Be strong in the strength of his might. You see, it's his might, it's his power, it's his ability that protects us, that guards us, that we put on. Put on the armor that is your God. Armor of God. You see, the biggest mistake that we can make here is to do this thing that we have a terrible tendency to do, and we make it all about ours. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to do this. This is all my ability. And what that is self-righteousness. It's righteousness by our works. We say, I'm going to get up in the morning and I'm going to put on the belt of truth, meaning I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to live righteously today. I'm going to be peaceful, but I'm also going to mess some stuff up. Right? What are we doing? Self-righteousness. Depending on our own abilities to make it. Self-righteousness is a futile strategy. We get it backwards. This armor of God has nothing to do with our abilities. It's not do these things or else you'll be vulnerable. What this is about is explaining, listing out the ways that trusting in the work of Jesus is going to protect you. He's going to guard your mind. He's going to guard your heart. He's going to guard your path, so that the one who boasts may boast in the Lord. It's his work. It's his ability. He is the armor of God. So, how do we put on the armor of God? We trust in the finished work of Jesus Christ.